What's up? What's up? What's up? Hope everyone's doing good. Hope everyone's had a pretty good weekend. So, gotta start talking again. So, starting today, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different for my Donzeri lights, just kind of how I do them. If you don't know, I'm about to tell you. Probably about, I'd probably say at least a decade, if not more than that, because I kind of gauge. I think I started about I think I started this project about the same time that I had my first daughter, which was Claire, which is probably about 12 years ago. So about 12 years ago, I started writing a fantasy novel. And the title of the fantasy novel is called The Way of Hammer and Steel. Super nerdy, I know, but it's going to be awesome. But anyways, it's just something that I did. This was way before playing cards, way before any of that kind of stuff. And I've always loved creative writing. And I've always loved science fiction and fantasy stories. Even from just my own inspiration from like growing up and loving Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. Excuse me. So I started this book 12 years ago, and in the beginning, I worked on it pretty diligently. I wrote a lot. And then just as life happened, I had kids. I had 3 kids. Moved 4 times. It just kind of fell by the wayside, and I started King's Wild, and things got really busy. And I really haven't worked on it. I haven't really worked on it seriously in probably 3 or 4 years. But over the past month, I have been my inspiration to work on it and to do it has been kind of rekindled, mainly because of the Donzeri light, because before it's just been, I just haven't had time to do it. And it's not that I haven't had time to do it, because I think everybody has time to do anything. They just don't make time to do it. And I've been really inspired with just the process of the Donzeri light, that I wanted to start in the mornings. My time at the Donzeri light, I wanted to take the hour. I wanted to start allotting about an hour a day that I could work on it. And my hope for this book is that, obviously I want to finish it and write it. And it's not just one book, it's like 3 books. But my hope is, when I grew up, I had and still have a bunch of these old kind of these classic illustrated stories. For example, like Robin Hood, Last of the Mohicans, Treasure Island, those kind of things. And they're kind of those quintessential, really beautiful hardbound book. And then like every chapter or so, there's this really beautiful illustration that goes with the book. And my hope is to create something similar. My hope is to create something similar in the sense that it is a book. It is a traditional novel. But what I want to do is I want to create a really beautiful illustration for each chapter. because in my head, the finished product is a really cool, well printed hardbound book with and then in each chapter is a really beautiful full color illustration of that chapter. And so what I'm going to do in the beginnings of the Dawn's Early Lights, I really don't have any kind of plan or anything like that. So a lot of it's going to be exploratorial in the beginning. Because I've really I've written a lot, but I haven't drawn any pictures of the characters and stuff. So far I have the first book is 40 or 50 chapters long, and I have the entire first book / second book pretty detailed outlined of what happens, the story beats, what goes on. Especially the first book. I have the first book very well outlined. And I also have about 11 of the 40 or so chapters. I have about 11 of the 40 or so chapters written for the first book. And so what I'm going to start doing from 5 to 6 is just taking a week to work on each illustration. And it may take me shorter or longer to finish the illustration. I don't know. That's just kind of way I'm kind of frameworking it in my head. But I'm going to take a week to work on each chapter's illustration. And from what I've got written, I mean, that'll be, 10 to 12 weeks of content that I create doing this. And then hopefully by the time that 12 weeks gets finished, I can start back up writing and continue the story. I don't know how I want to disseminate the actual writing itself, because my hope is to publish or share the writing somewhere each week, so that the people that are you guys that are watching this can read the chapter and follow along. The only thing about that is it's a little bit different than images. I'm a little bit more free with my images because it's kind of a thing of it's an image. I don't know. I guess I'm just not as worried about people stealing and, copyright infringing or copying or whatever my artwork. And I'm a little bit more wary of that with my writing. But at the same time, nobody probably wants to copy my writing or whatever. So I'm still trying to think about how to do that in terms of how I'm going to share the writing. And it may be in some kind of closed blog or closed writing group that is a blog or something like that. It could even be a Patreon, but I've never messed with Patreon. But it might be something like a Patreon where at least being a member of the Patreon or something has a little bit of a veil of security in the sense, and then I can share the chapters and writing that way a little bit more secure. But that's what I'm going to do. And today is going to be the first day that I start doing that. It's so hot. But anyways, so what I'm going to do today is, see here, create a new document over here. Let's see. Let me start a new document here. I really have no, it's going to be 8.5 by 11, at least not the size of the book, but the pages are going to be a normal size page. So I'm going to go 8.5 by 11. I'm going to res it up a little bit in size, so if I ever want to make like prints, I will be good to go. Okay, so the first chapter of my book, and you'll just have to hang with me as I figure out how I'm going to share the writing. And at this point, I'll just kind of explain to you what's going on. So, the whole story, the story's called "The Way of Hammer and Steel," and the title comes from the fact that the story centers around a boy who you follow through the story, who eventually becomes a man and that kind of thing. And it's very much a quintessential hero's journey style. It's kind of a hero's journey style story with a little bit of a prophesied special item talisman mixed in with that. So the name "The Way of Hammer and Steel" comes from the fact that the boy's origins come from the fact that his family and his father and his father's father are all blacksmiths. And in particularly, they are blade smiths. I've always been fascinated with swords and blades, especially historical swords and stuff of that nature. And so the title of the whole series comes from that fact. And the blacksmithing and swordsmithing and that kind of thing, it plays a very, integral part in the plot of the whole thing throughout the story in different places. But in the beginning, chapter 1 is called Mora of the Wood. And Mora is a city, is like a little village in the midst of a huge forest. And this forest is the forest is called the Dawnwood Forest, and Mora is this little village inside this forest. And the forest is in this little village, and the forest is made up of just like, tradesmen and woodsmen that live inside this forest. And the main character, the boy, whose name is Merrick. Write down Merrick here. Yeah. So Merrick is a kind of like a 9. He's probably 9 years old, around there. And the first chapter is called Mora of the Wood. And basically the first chapter basically opens up and sets the stage. And what the first chapter is for is it establishes the relationship between Merrick and his father, and his father's name is Drake. So the first chapter establishes the relationship between Merrick and Drake, his father. And Merrick's father, Drake, is what is called a master bladesmith. So he's a blacksmith, but he's a blacksmith that specializes. He's a blacksmith that specializes in making swords and also like other weaponry and armor and stuff like that. But he mainly makes swords. And Merrick is becoming old enough to finally start his apprenticeship to become a bladesmith. And unlike most kids that want to rebel and don't want to do what their parents do and that kind of thing. Merrick loves his dad, and Merrick has always wanted to be like his dad in the sense that he's always wanted to be a blacksmith and to be a bladesmith like his father. And Merrick doesn't know it yet, but Drake is pretty well known throughout this land as being one of the greatest bladesmiths that exist. And the setting for the first chapter is at night, and it's out on the back porch of Merrick and Drake's home. And these homes are kind of like these ancient stone-built cottages that have been in these families' possession for centuries, generations. And so the setting for the first chapter is in the woods at night, and there's lots of like campfires going around, and you can kind of like, you smell the burning sap and pine, and the embers rising into the forest, and the forest is comprised of like fir and pine trees, so you have that kind of like tall, straight tree scenery, and everything's dark, everything's quiet. And the first setting takes place on the back porch of Merrick's home, and on the back porch there's a stump that during the day they use as like a wood chopping block, but at nighttime Drake sits on this stump and tells Merrick stories. And so before they go to bed, kind of like this nightly routine between Drake and his son Merrick is Drake will tell these fantastic stories to Merrick of, lost legends of heroes and that kind of thing. And in this chapter, there's kind of like an air of there's something different in the air in the conversation that Drake is having with Merrick. And the conversation that Drake is having with Merrick, he's trying to start a difficult conversation because Merrick is 9 years old, and in the culture of this people, 9 years old is kind of the age at which you become a man, and you have to like, it's not really becoming a man yet, but 9 is about the age that you start your apprenticeship to become whatever tradesman that you're going to become. And Merrick and his family and the families around him are kind of like in a kind of a lower class tradesman, working class of people. And in the next few days, Merrick and his father and his mother are going to be leaving the forest to go to a city called Clymera. And in this city, there is a festival held to where there's a festival held that is called the Farewell Stone Festival. And it's basically a festival that happens every year where all these families of all these different trades come together and they have a big festival. And traditionally, no matter what trade your family is in, whether it's blacksmithing, pottery, barrel wright, any kind of trade, each family has a traditional master that their family sends their apprenticed children to learn the trade. So it's not a case where Merrick is going to learn his trade from his father. Merrick's family are bladesmith, and they have a historical master in their family that his father's father went to all train to be apprentices under. And so in the next few days, they will be leaving the forest to go to this festival. They will be leaving the forest to go to this festival for Merrick to leave his family for a good number of years, because you train as an apprentice from like the age of 9 to like 16, 17, 18. So in the next few days, he's going to have to leave and go start his apprenticeship. Now, Merrick has really never really traveled much out of the forest, and only a few years ago has his father allowed him to tag along. Only a few years ago, Drake, Merrick's father, has allowed Merrick to start tagging along to his trips to this city called Clymera. And Clymera is like the first city before the forest where he's at. And they would go there seasonally to get like supplies for like the winter or something like that. So only for the past few years has Merrick been allowed to go. And every time he gets to go, he's so excited because he never gets to leave the forest. So the first chapter is basically Merrick and Drake sitting by a fire at nighttime talking. And Drake, and it kind of sets the stage of the characters, and it describes who they are and what they look like, that kind of thing. And then towards the end of the first chapter, Drake tries to start having this conversation of like, hey, Merrick, it's time for you to, you know what's coming in the next few days. We're going to be leaving to go to Clymera for this festival, for you to leave and start your apprenticeship. But unfortunately, right as he starts the actual the tough part of the conversation, Merrick's mother, Camdron, comes out and yells at him for staying up so late, and that they need to go to bed, or that Merrick needs to go to bed because he's got a big day tomorrow. And he does have a big day tomorrow because the next day is when they start the process of packing up and leaving to go to Clymera for this festival. So that's kind of the setting for the first chapter. And so as I'm thinking about, so I'm gonna have to apologize. A lot of this process of me working through these illustrations is just gonna be me talking about the story, because this is different. This is a little bit different than, me illustrating, Lord of the Rings, or me illustrating Alice in Wonderland, because these are all my stories. And, a lot of this I've got written down. A lot of this I've got written down in the form of chapters. A lot of this I have written down in the form of notes. And then there's a lot of this that I have written down in no form, and it's just in my head of the details of this story. But this process that I'm going to be doing is going to have different facets, in the sense that not only am I going to be working on the illustrations, but this is going to be an opportunity for me to creatively work through all the details of writing this story that I want to complete. So, and you can be rest assured that there will be a deck of cards, and there will be illustrations and all that kind of stuff. So Merrick is 9 years old. He's got dark brown hair. And right now what I'm going to be doing is just kind of be doing like reference building and getting conceptual ideas about stuff. For some reason, when I picture Merrick, I don't necessarily want to talk about it because I know that I'll probably get copyright flagged. But for some reason in my head, the picture of the boy that always comes to my face is the boy, is William Wallace as a boy in the movie Braveheart. Let me see if I can find a picture of him. Nope. Let's see if I can find a picture of him over here. Let's see if I can find him. This kid right here. I always think of this kid for some reason in my head as the 9-year-old William Wallace kind of a thing. but I don't necessarily want to use his face because I don't want my video to get flagged for copyright infringement. See if I can find something. His name is James Robinson. Anyways, so he's a young boy, 9. He's got dark brown hair. He's kind of like, in my head, he's got like leather pants, a tunic, that kind of thing. So the first thing I'm going to do is, I'm not going to really start a specific illustration per se. And I've got about 30 more minutes before I'm going to stop doing this. I'm basically just going to just kind of create a conceptual image of both Drake and Merrick. So I really don't have a style. I don't really have a style that I'm thinking about, but it's more than likely just going to be very similar to Alice in Wonderland, just because that's kind of my normal. That's just kind of my normal way of drawing, and I'm comfortable with that. And really this beginning part is just me gonna be like just conceptualizing what these characters look like. Because one of the things that I'm interested in, that I've always thought about and I've always thought was interesting, but at the same time I think is gonna be one of the challenges, because I've really never illustrated like a series of the same characters, I guess you could say, in the sense that one thing I'm interested to see how I'm going to do is how to illustrate these characters, these same characters, and make them look the same. So like being able to draw these characters in different forms and different settings, but make them always feel like the same character and the same person, I guess you could say, by making them look like each other, like themselves within different pictures. That's something I've always been wondered how I'm going to do that, and I think is going to be a challenge. So I think part of drawing these initial drawings is going to be a way for me to kind of develop those characters. And so that's going to be what these kind of initial concept drawings are. I'm just trying to give this character the proportions of like a 9-year-old boy. He still kind of has a big head. In the first 2 chapters, he ends up chopping wood in the next chapter, So I'm just putting an axe in his hand. He's a pretty good sized kid. He's not like a big kid. He's not a big kid, and he's not a small kid. He's used to working. He does manual labor. So it's not like he's, yeah. Yeah. Yes, Katie. Hopefully every chapter will have 1 or 2 illustrations throughout the entire book series. No, the illustrations that I'm going to be doing for the book are going to be actual classic illustrations of what's going on in the story. And I'm also going to have like maps and little like drawings of different stuff of like, I'm going to have like blueprints of buildings, maps of locations, all kinds of stuff. Maps of locations, all kinds of fun stuff. I can see there being like different versions when it's published, Andrew. I can see like a paperback book, a paperback version where the pages are just like lined, like black and white line drawings, and then there'd be like a hardcover version that all the illustrations are like in color. What do those like peasant tunics look like? So trying to find some reference on what this might look like. And just to give you an idea of the tone of the story, in the beginning it has a very kind of like youthful tone to it. But quickly, very, very quickly, the story turns not so youthful. And it's basically kind of like, I guess you could say, if Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones came together. So you have you don't have as much high fantasy as Lord of the Rings, but you have a lot of the fighting and blood and gore as Game of Thrones. But you have a lot of the kind of lore and backstory as Lord of the Rings, but less sex as Game of Thrones. So in the beginning, it's very much kind of like I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, but in terms of like a year or setting, it doesn't, I mean, first of all, it doesn't really take place in our reality. But if I had to put like a time and a kind of a times, it's very much kind of medieval, a medieval setting with medieval technology. There are, fantastic, and when I say fantastic, I just mean fantastic in the sense of, fanciful story. There are like non-human beings and stuff like that, but it's not to the extent of like say Lord of the Rings, where you've got orcs and elves and all this kind of stuff. It would be more in line with kind of like what Game of Thrones is, where for the most part it's basically just humans in a sense in Game of Thrones, but throughout there are kind of magical beings. And that's the same thing with this. Go ahead and save this. I'm really feeling good about this sketch. I like it. Make a new folder, characters. And this will be Merrick. Sketch. I guess you could say he would be kind of in that lower class because his father and his family are definitely a trade profession. He's definitely not royalty. He's definitely not a nobleman. He doesn't really own land. His family doesn't really own land. The place where he lives is kind of a just a collective commune of people living, in the same area. But he does own his home. He does own where they live. But yeah, I would say that he would be kind of a lower class peasant-ish. But the thing about it is Merrick's father is pretty well known and does not have any problem staying gainfully employed as a blacksmith. So I guess it wouldn't really be peasant. It'd be more of kind of like a tradesman or a merchant type kind of class. I don't know if that makes sense, but Link, that's good. I really like the feel and gesture of his face already. I was kind of worried that I wasn't going to be able to like capture like a youthful face very easily, but I really like his already. So I don't screw it up. Why can't I draw a belt? Let's see what this looks like. I like how these guys' belts are like kind of folded over. Nice goatee, bro. My brain is like not working. Thinking about how this belt folds over. There we go. I had to flip it over for some reason. That's funny. That's much easier now. It's just going the wrong direction. He's gonna, I want him to have him like lots of little trinkets, because he's a really inquisitive boy, and he's always going out in the forest and doing stuff, and he loves stories. So I want him to have like a necklace and a bracelet that he's made and all kinds of weird stuff, just like little trinkets. Maybe a little knife on his side, because he's always having to go hunt and get food and all kinds of stuff for his family. And his dad's a bladesmith, so you'd think he'd have a knife or a little dagger. All right. That's good. That's kind of what I wanted to accomplish. I don't know. I really didn't have a plan. I just wanted to start kind of working and getting ideas. And I think this is a good start. So here we go, Merrick. Beginnings of Merrick, and we'll see how it goes with him. Just save this. Change gears a little bit. All right. Here's our old friend, the Mad Hatter. Do some tweaking a little bit. When I painted this originally, I unfortunately painted the line drawing a little bit too dark, and it forced me to make the drawing itself a little bit too dark. And I kind of have to go back and adjust some of the areas that are a little bit too dark in value. I'm going to open up our caterpillar only because I want to make sure that the court cards are always matching up or going together in terms of like their style and stuff. Try this again here. The more I'm doing these one-way court card illustrations, the more I want to possibly do Lord of the Rings in this style. That's just something I'm thinking about as I'm doing this. One thing that I already noticed that I'm probably going to change is this line in the background right here is a little bit too dark in value, and it kind of throws off the focal point being the image itself. I may end up kind of toning that back a little bit. So I'm just comparing this caterpillar drawing because I think the caterpillar drawing is spot on to what I want to do in the kind of like style I want to capture. And I just want to make sure that I capture that same feeling with the specific little things that I did in the caterpillar drawing with this, like, for instance, like this little white line border, the way that I've outlined the entire character with this little white line, all those little things I want to make sure that I do. Also, like how I kind of treated the ground here with these kind of little drawings and stuff. I want to make sure I pull that over to this one, and how it kind of transitions up to the sky. So I'm just going to keep drawing. I'm going to continue. I'm going to do some of the detail on the tablecloth and that kind of thing. Let me see, what kind of tablecloth? Let me think. Yeah, I won't take any of the colorfulness out of the spade board. I'm just going to take some of the dark black values out of it, or pull it back a little bit. Wait just a little bit to do this line work on the tablecloth. I want to do its value, kind of paint its value and stuff first. I don't know what tea looks like. I don't ever drink tea. Last week I literally just copied and pasted actual tea in a glass and just put it on here. Yeah, I agree with you, Andrew. It's a little bit too saturated for sure. Bring it down a little bit. Let's bring it down a little bit here then. Andrew, you need to move to Cleveland so you can be the barista at my King's Wild coffee shop that we're making. And the only proper place for tea, in my opinion, the only proper place for tea is in the harbor. I drink my coffee black and my tea in the harbor. Should have done my rim shot. really drawing how these lines would go actually across. Wait a minute. I don't want to draw every other one. I'm going to draw every other. I want to do every other one.
Try so hard to waste it all, waste our love before it's gone. And just like kids are cheating death, we lose our minds and hold our breaths, and cut right through the glossy layers, with no time for empty prayers. Always someone to defeat, but no surrender, no retreat. Try so hard to waste it all, waste our love before it's gone. You aimed right at my blue suede heart, still alive, I count my stars. And this is how we live and learn. Before the bridges burn, there's always someone to defeat, but no surrender, no retreat. And just like porcelain, we are broken and put together again, over and over. We're worn like Levi's and torn like blue skies. We burn like fire, we burn like like fireworks in the sky, going up, coming back. We're like fireworks in the sky,
All right, this is one I was talking about earlier about the border. Some of the elements of the border being a little bit too dark. And I'll show you an example. You see how this kind of like dark outline comes up against this, and it's a darker value. I don't quite like that, and I want that. And it kind of does it. What it does, like right here, this is lighter than this, and because of that, it makes it seem like the Hatter is not in the foreground. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I'm gonna select the line work, and then I'm gonna slightly darken it towards the edges so that they're the same color as this. And I think that will, it might, I don't know, we'll see. So just lightly kind of fade it to a darker value like that right there, so that it's the same kind of, it's the same value as that background line work. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, see, now that's a little bit better. You see, that makes these areas pop off the background now. I think I may darken his face just a little bit too. Don't tell anybody. There we go. Maybe not that much. Bring it back a little bit. Are all the chords done for Mistborn? Yes, they are. Every card is finished except the aces. I gotta finish the aces. So I can show you what that did. So I'm going to group these two layers that I just added. And I'm going to turn them on and off, and you'll be able to see that he pops on and off the background better. There's off, on, off, on. Just helps it kind of that just helps it kind of go into the background a little better. All right, I think I'm going to add a few things to the ground down here just to kind of mimic this stuff over here. Maybe I won't. I think I may just leave it like that. I'm just going to leave it like that for now. I really like how this turned out. Okay. All right, let's let's get our indexes on there so we can see what that looks like. Did I save those on here? I don't remember. Nope. Are these them? Yes. I can't remember what color I did the spades. I need to go back and look. See here, open, save this. yes, I know. Open. I'm gonna go spade. There it is. Excuse me. Excuse me. Well, crap. I don't have it on here either. Alright, we'll just do it right here. So I'm going to make this background. I'm going to make this background kind of a slate gray. I'm going to take this teal color. I'm going to make it a little bit darker gray. I like that. I'm going to put that on multiply. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. Okay. Delete this. Let's go open recent Caterpillar. Let's hold it. I may go with a blue or a purple. Let me go back to this. Let's take this and make that purple color right here. Let's take this, make it a few shades lighter so that our spade pops off the background a little bit better. I don't understand why it's not coming over. Bring this to the top. Where are you at? Jeez, how many layers do I got here? There she blows. Put you right there in the center. Now let's take this K and make it this gray here. Yes, very nice. I like that purple. I'm normally not a big fan of purple. Not sure why, but I just usually am not. But I like it there. All right, let's let's go get our spade. Our spade court border. Okay. I may have to simplify this a little bit. Oh my gosh, you people and your centeredness. You have to center both the shadow and the form of the K. You gotta center both of them. People. Gee whiz. I'm just kidding. Alright, I really like this. Let's make sure it's saved, which it is. Let's duplicate it and put it on a card and see how it looks. Let's do a little unsharpened mask here. You do you. I love it. I love it. Nah, I'm just kidding. Nah, I'm just giving you a hard time. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, this is gonna be a good card. Yep, 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 yep. No, yeah. That's good. That's good. That's good, good, good. Yes. It looks very good. It does look very good. Yes. Alright, let's Kate. Mask. Whoa. Let's crop this up a little bit here. Yes, that looks really good. Really good. Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's save as. King of Spades. Hatter. And Cat. Send this to myself here. Oh, what is that? Something happened. What is that right there? I do not know what that is. What happened? What is that? Let's go back until it's gone. Oh, something right there. Something happened. Try this again. Crop. Alright, so just to recap what we've done today, we finished up the Mad Hatter. We also did our first sketches of our character named Merrick, which is a character from my story. We did him, and we'll work on him tomorrow as well. I'm not sure what Alice in Wonderland character we're going to do tomorrow. But yeah, I'm really pleased with how the Mad Hatter turned out. So I'm really pleased with how he turned out. I'm trying to think about, we got a lot of characters to do. I'm feeling good. I feel really solid about the style and the direction. So I'm really happy with how things are turning out. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Let's go back to look at them together. Yeah, they look good. I don't know why the heck. Go away. Status on Mistborn is I did get feedback. Luckily, that's good. I got all of the court cards approved. The only thing we have got to do, and I'll probably try to do that this week sometime, is will most likely, all I got to do is the what's the word? Aces. So let me show you, and I got the Jokers, the final inking of the diptych Joker of the two eternal beings. Let me download this right quick. The shards, ruin and preservation. There's the diptych Joker of the two eternal shards, ruin and preservation. Excuse me. So, and I can kind of show you guys I'll show you guys some of the concept renderings I did that I sent to them. And I don't know if I showed it to you, but they have the little, we got a sample book box made and everything. Let me see here where I put those. I think they're in here. Concepts. No. Let's see. Let me see if I can find them. I know I got them in email or somewhere. Oh, here it is. Let's see. It's just like an email. Let's see here. Here is the kind of concept of the box. This is the book box that we had made. The sample book box that we had made for it. There's the back. You guys saw me make this. Let's see, go back. Here's the spine. And this was kind of the concept of the Silver Arrows-esque simple tuck box inside the book box. It's the kind of the marbled edges that I like so much. The blue paper is kind of like a gradient metallic blue with the kind of a dark gradient on top. So there you go. That's kind of what we sent them. And all this stuff on the tuck case will be silver foil. So yeah, that's it. All right, my friends, I think that's it for me today. I will be back. I may be back this afternoon. I'm not sure. But if not, I will for sure be back in the morning. Forgot to do one thing right quick. Gotta put a little white line on the outside to match the caterpillar. All right, there we go. All right, my friends, thanks for joining me this morning. I will see you guys either later this afternoon or in the morning. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Thanks again, and I will speak to you soon. Well, I'm not speak to you, but I'll see you soon. Have a good day.